The wild holds secrets we may never uncover. That belief led me to the swamps of Black Hollow, deep in Arkansas. As a field researcher, I was drawn to its eerie silence and strange biodiversity. At a gas station, the clerk eyed my gear with pity. "You're heading out alone?" "Just for the day," I said. He frowned. "Folks don't poke around there this time of year. Why?" He shook his head. "Some things don't like being found." I dismissed it as small-town superstition. Every remote place had its myths. My professor would have laughed at the notion of folklore interfering with scientific observation. So, I paid for my supplies and set off down the trail, the warnings fading from my mind. For the first few hours, my expedition was remarkably successful. I found rare orchids thriving in unexpected conditions, collected samples of moss that formed perfect circles, and spotted birds migrating out of season. It was as if the forest itself had been cultivated, intentionally diverse. My notebook filled quickly with sketches and notes, each entry more fascinating than the last. I was so engrossed in my work that I didn't notice how quickly the daylight had faded. The sun hung low, casting long, claw-like shadows through the trees. Checking my GPS, I realized I had wandered far from the marked path. The signal flickered, struggling beneath the dense canopy. I had gotten lost before, and I wasn't worried until the forest changed. The buzzing insects and chittering birds fell silent all at once. No rustling leaves, no distant calls, just an oppressive, unnatural quiet. It pressed against my eardrums, heavy and wrong. Then I heard it. A howl. It wasn't a coyote, not a wolf, not anything I could place. It was deep and guttural, carrying something almost human within its resonance. It rose and fell in a way that sent every instinct screaming at me to run. So, I ran. I crashed through the undergrowth, my boots splashing through shallow water and sucking into thick mud. The howl came again, closer this time, followed by something moving through the forest, not with the wild unpredictability of a panicked animal, but with deliberate, patient steps, like a predator that knew it had already won. My mind scrambled to make sense of it. I thought of the stories I dismissed, the disappearances, the hunters who refused to enter these woods, the grainy photographs laughed off as hoaxes. The Black Hollow beast, they called it. I had scoffed at the idea. But now, with night falling fast and something massive hunting me, skepticism was a luxury I couldn't afford. I didn't know if I was running toward the road or deeper into the wilderness. My GPS screen glitched and then went black. The trees all looked the same, towering and indifferent. My breath burned in my lungs, the humid air thick like syrup. Then the smell hit me, a rancid stench of wet fur, stagnant water, and something sickly sweet underneath. It made my stomach turn. My foot caught on a root, and I stumbled against a tree, my hands coming away sticky with something dark. Blood? Sap? My brain couldn't decide. The howl came again, impossibly close. And then, for the first time, I heard something worse, breathing, deep, wet inhalations, tasting the air. Right behind me. I forced myself forward, muscles screaming, vision narrowing. I had to hide. I spotted a dense thicket of blackberry brambles ahead, sharp, tangled, a painful but effective cover. I dove into it, ignoring the sting of thorns tearing at my skin, curling into the smallest shape possible. Silence. Then the footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, something massive moving with intent. Through gaps in the brush, I saw it. A hulking shape, at least 7 feet tall. Its broad shoulders hunched, its body covered in thick, matted hair. The air around it felt heavier, charged, like before a storm. It stopped just feet away, sniffing the air. My pulse pounded as I held my breath. Don't move, don't exist. Minutes dragged on. Did it know? Was it toying with me? Pain shot through my cramping leg. I tried to stay still, but then, snap, a twig beneath my boot. The sound was barely there, but in the suffocating silence, it was deafening. The thing's head snapped toward me. Its growl started low, a vibration deep in its chest, rising to something almost speech-like. Not words, but a pattern, a rhythm, like it was trying to communicate, or call others. And then it lunged. I exploded from my hiding place, thorns ripping at my clothes, at my skin. My instincts screamed at me to run, and I did. I dodged trees, leaped over roots, zigzagging wildly. But it was fast. Too fast. The ground shook with each of its strides, its breathing right behind me. I could feel it gaining. My foot snagged, and I stumbled. Before I could regain my balance, something caught my shirt. Not claws, fingers. A grip, strong and intentional, yanking me backward. I fought, kicking, twisting, pure terror fueling me. Somehow, I broke free, stumbling through the swamp, lungs burning, legs screaming. I didn't stop until I reached my car, didn't look back. The stories were real, and I never set foot in Black Hollow again.